Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hello, my name is Hannah, and in today's video I'm going to be actually sharing with you guys my 2-week wait and how I actually found out I was pregnant. I did post a video on me taking a pregnancy test and finding out that I was pregnant, and yes, that was a very accurate and real moment for me. But there had been some things leading up to this test that kind of already put pregnancy thoughts in my head. So, like I said, this video is going to be telling all of that. And yeah, so I hope you guys enjoy. Alrighty, so we are going to start from the first day of my last period, which was May 22nd. And I had a normal cycle. Actually, this one lasted a little bit longer than it typically does. My periods typically last 5 to 6 days. I think this one was like 7 or 8 days. I started on May 22nd and I ended on May 29th, so it was like 7 days, but it's still pretty typically normal. After I got off my menstrual cycle, Anthony and I had been really active. Our goal was actually to not try for baby number 2 at all in May or June, but we did end up trying in May. We didn't get pregnant. I ended up getting my period, and then in June we were not going to try because in July we had our honeymoon. We're going to Hawaii, and so we didn't want to, well, I didn't mind being pregnant, but I didn't want to try and then like get my period and then be sad and devastated because I'm not pregnant, or like I don't know, there was just a lot of things that we didn't want. Also, if we would have gotten pregnant, the baby's due date would be around Alicia's birthday, and we didn't want them to fall on each other's birthday. So that was one of our main reasons for not trying. So that was the reason for us not wanting to try. So I get off my cycle, or my period cycle, whatever. I get off my period, and Anthony and I are being very active, more active than we typically are, and we decided that we were going to hop on this opportunity. If we were in the mood, why not try? You know, we want a second baby, so why not? So we decided late in the game, a little bit late in the game, that we were going to continue to try for baby number 2. And so because of this, I wasn't taking my evening Primrose that I typically take from the day of my first period, the first day of my period, all the way up until the day I get a positive ovulation test. But I was still taking all my vitamins, like my prenatals. Yeah, pretty much my prenatals are my vitamins. So I was taking those. I just wasn't taking my evening Primrose. And on, when was it? June 5th is when I started testing for my ovulation. And when I took my my first ovulation test, I thought it was really weird because the test came out completely negative. It barely had a second a test line. The control line was dark, but the test line was very, very faint. And I found this weird because typically all my ovulation test strips are really dark, and then when I do ovulate, I have to look really, really close to verify that it actually is a true positive ovulation test. And so the fact that it was almost nothing of a line kind of worried me. But I just kept thinking like, okay, maybe I'm just nowhere near my ovulation day. When I saw that, I was like, oh man, it's gonna be one of those wonky cycles, because every once in a while I do have a wonky cycle, and I was like, I knew this one was gonna be a wonky cycle, which gave me zero hope that anything would work on getting me pregnant. So we continued to try, and every day from the 5th up until June 18th, I was testing for ovulation, and not once did I get a positive ovulation test. And the line stayed light the entire time. It wasn't getting darker, it wasn't getting lighter, it wasn't nothing. It was just like the faintest of faint line. It looked like a barely positive pregnancy test. That's what it looked like. It was so faint. And the more and more of these negative tests that I got really started to stress me out, and I was beginning to think, okay, this is for sure not our month. We were very hopeful and positive that this would be our month, because we were very actively trying, and I knew there was no way that I would have missed my ovulation, but I was taking test after test after test, and it kept telling me negative, 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 negative. And then I was like, okay, you know what, whatever's. On Father's Day, me and Anthony, we ended up going on our own little vacation for the night, and of course we baby danced. And in the morning, I had woken up and I had taken a pregnancy test, and it was negative. And this was on June 16th. So I'd taken that test, it came out negative, but I had also taken a ovulation test that also came out negative. And so I kept testing for ovulation up until the 18th, and then from the 16th up until the 20th, I was testing for pregnancy. On the 20th is actually when I was supposed to start my next period. So that was supposed to be the end of my cycle. And typically I'm very on track with my Flow app. And so if I don't start on that day, I typically start a day after. If I don't start a day after, it's going to be a week after. I already know it. That's how my cycles are. It's weird. And so on the 20th, I took a pregnancy test and it came out negative. And in my head, I was like, okay, I know I'm not pregnant. It's not happening. I felt this way because when I found out that I was pregnant with my daughter Alicia, I had actually found out 2 days before I missed my period. And so I was like, man, I'm out for this cycle. I already know it. And so I stopped testing. I was like, okay, I'm just gonna wait for me to get my positive pregnancy test, or I'm going to start my period. So pretty much I was gonna wait for my period to come because I had already thought that I was out for the month. And then about 2 days after I missed my period, my sister Rachel ended up coming over, and I had one last Clinigard pregnancy test that I had gotten from Amazon, and I had a couple ovulation test strips that I still had around. So I had more ovulation test strips than I did pregnancy test strips. So I only had one left of the pregnancy, and then I had like a couple of the ovulation ones left. And I told my sister, I was like, okay, so I'm still late. I'm gonna take my last pregnancy test, and then I'm gonna take an ovulation test and see if anything will come up. So the pregnancy test ended up coming out negative, but the ovulation test ended up coming out positive. Or not positive, but closer to a positive than I had gotten all month. My lines were both dark. My test line was a little bit lighter than the control line. And so this indicated to me that I had either just got done ovulating or I was getting ready to ovulate. And either way, in my head, we had missed our opportunity to try and conceive baby number 2. So, so I see that the ovulation was semi-positive, whatever. So I took a picture of it, and I will either insert it right here or right here. And I had sent it to my sister Elizabeth, who was actually very well knowledgeable in TTCing. So she is like the TTC guru in our family. I love her so much. And she does also have a YouTube channel. So if you aren't subscribed to her, what are you doing? I will leave her link in the description box below. Go follow her because she's amazing. So I texted her that and I said, girl, I know I'm not pregnant, but WTF is going on. I didn't get a positive ovulation test at all this month, and all of a sudden I'm about to start my period and this comes up. And she pretty much tells me, like, relax, you're not out until you get your period. And she told me, just relax, let me know when you get that positive, girl. Like, you're not out yet. Just remember that you're not out yet. And I was like, yeah, I already know I'm out, because when I was pregnant with Alicia, I had gotten a positive pregnancy test 2 days before I missed my period. So the fact that I was already late and I wasn't getting a positive test really to me, told me that I was for sure not pregnant. And so I took her words into consideration, and we went to Walmart, and I had picked up a box of the 2 tests of the first response, 6-day early result, whatever, 6 days sooner test. And I had taken that on the 23rd, and it came out negative. I always check my tests at the 3-minute, the 10-minute, and the hour mark, and occasionally I'll go back and look at like a 3-hour mark or something of that sort. And so I took that test on the 23rd, and it came out negative. At the 10-minute mark, it was still negative, and at the 3-hour mark is when I actually noticed that there was a pink line. It wasn't a gray line, it didn't look like a shadow line, it looked like a positive freaking pregnancy test. And in my head I was like, ooh, pink, like I see pink, this could be something, but it didn't show up at the 10-minute mark, so I can't be sure. So on the 24th I took the second first response pregnancy test, and at the 3-minute mark it was negative, and at the 10-minute mark I could see a very, very, very faint line, and at that moment I kind of knew I was pregnant. And so I rummaged through my cabinets, and I found my clear blue digital test that said yes or no, and I went ahead and dipped that in the same sample that I had just got this positive pregnancy test on, to see if it was a yes or no, because like I said, I could not verify that this was a true positive test. And of course that digital came out negative, and I was sad, but I was like, okay, if I am, then it should be darker tomorrow. And so I went to Walmart because I was out of tests at this point. I went back to Walmart, and I had gotten the Walmart cheapie, and that was actually the video that you guys seen me take. And at the 3-minute mark, sure enough, it came out positive. So I'm not quite sure exactly what happened with my cycle. I'm assuming I ovulated really late and got pregnant on Father's Day. I'm assuming. Because honestly, Father's Day was the last time we actually did it. So if I had gotten pregnant any other time before then, I truly believe I would have gotten a positive pregnancy test way earlier than I did, instead of a week late. So yeah, so that was pretty much how I found out I was pregnant, and my 2-week wait, or my month wait, there was no indications that I was pregnant. I did end up getting a little sick, I want to say 2 weeks before I got my BFP, but I think that I was just coming down with something because everybody in the house came down with something, so that's what I believe it to be. I never threw up, but I didn't actually ever really feel sick. It's just I had body aches and a headache, pretty much, and I got really lightheaded and fainty, but nobody else experienced that. Everybody else got full-fledged sick. They were going number 2, throwing up, everything. Like, they had the body aches as well and the headaches as well, but they just had more symptoms than I did. But I was definitely more fainty. Like, there was a point where I was getting up to go get me ibuprofen for my headache, and I had gotten so dizzy, like I started spinning, and the only place that made me feel comfortable was laying on my kitchen floor on the cold floor, and just like, and I was like sweating bullets, and Anthony ended up having to get me some ibuprofen for my headache because it just wasn't going away. As soon as I took it, I ended up throwing up, and I was fine. Throughout the days, my body stopped aching and all of that, so that was the only thing that I could really consider any pregnancy symptoms. But yeah, so that was my story. That's how I found out I was pregnant with baby number 2. If you guys have any other questions or comments or concerns, let me know down below, because I know I was very much all over the place in this video. So again, I apologize. And I hope I answered all of your guys' questions But yeah, if you have any other further questions, go ahead and leave them down in the comment below, and I will answer them either in another video or I will comment down below responding to your comments. And yeah, so if you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already, because most of my viewers that watch my videos, they're not even subscribed to me. So what are you guys doing with your life? Come on, you know you love me because I love you guys. So join the family, and I will see all of you guys in my next video. I love you guys from the bottom of my heart, and I will see you guys in my next video. All right, bye.